listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys watch their way through Sex and the City for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
I am Jon Sieber, putting my hat over my headphones.
Hats over headphones.
That's how we roll.
Hats over headphones.
And our guest today
Very excited.
is Jonathan Valdez.
Yes. Creator of OrangeJuiceAndBiscuits.com, the fashion and pop culture website.
Yes, of course.
Welcome to the podcast, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Our boys, Bradshaw Boys.
There we go.
Boys.
Already up and running.
Man, children.
We're excited to talk to you. We were just talking before we started recording about some of the fashion aspects because I feel like you will know more about that. But tell us a little bit about Orange Juice and Biscuits, the history of that, and then how you got into Sex and the City.
Yeah, so I started OrangeJuiceAndBiscuits.com in 2009 after I had a morning show in Texas called Orange Juice and Biscuits Morning Talk Worth Waking For. And I took a little break after that because it was, I did it while I was in college. So afterwards, I was like, what is my next steps? And everyone kept asking me my opinions on celebrities. So naturally they were like, you need to blog. And I was like, fine. So I created that 10 years ago. This year will be 10 years.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. And then how I got into Sex and the City was, actually it's really funny because I remember being in like junior high and my friend Patty was like, are you watching the show? You have to watch it. And I was like, I don't have HBO, y'all. And I was like, I don't know what this is. So the very first clip that she ever showed me was when Carrie Bradshaw was walking Fashion Week. And I don't know if y'all have gotten to that. I don't think
we
so.
have.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's a very iconic episode where she is doing the fashion show, and I don't want to go too much into it because I know you'll have to discover that, be on that journey. But that was the first thing she showed me when I was in junior high, and then I just became kind of obsessed with it. And then it's just one of those things that was always on E. And like now, when my friends and I like we'll go out at night or hang out, and at the end of the night, it's just always the HBO comes on with the and then the like it's like our Bible for my friends and I, and it's just a very fun and always go to for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wait, Orange Juice and Biscuits, you said it was a morning show, hence
Yes.
Orange Juice and Biscuits, because
Correct.
you would have that for breakfast.
Yeah.
And where in Texas was this?
It was on KTSW, which was the Texas State radio station.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm assuming that's where you're originally from?
I'm from Texas, yes.
Where in Texas?
I'm from Bay City, Texas, which is an hour and 30 minutes south of Houston, and it's not Baytown.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I feel like we have a pretty decent Texas contingent so
do.
far. Shanae's from Texas.
Shanae's from Texas.
Mo's from Texas.
That's what yeah.
Melina Kempf. My parents
And
are
all
from
in fact.
Texas.
Yeah.
I used to go to Texas every summer.
We need to get
Nice.
get
we
your
need to get my
parents on
mom
the
and dad here and be
Let's
like,
do
what? Let's talk about North Texas State University.
What was that purple thing with the battery? Oh my God, you put that where? In a pussy, Dad.
Kevin, that was an impression of my mom that you were doing. I don't appreciate it.
Classic Kevin over there doing jokes.
So in the how many times have you watched the series?
I don't even know. I have my favorites. I feel like at this point, I just like go to my favorite episodes when I want to watch it, or when my friends are over, they always know like which ones I like to watch. So we put it on. And then also the movie, like this weekend, I watched the movie. I went away to the
first one.
Yes. I went away to upstate in this mountain house, and my friend and I were there alone on the first night. So I turned it on the Sex and the City movie because Netflix has it now, the first one. So.
And you're just like, it's like comfort now.
It is. And it's just like you kind of know what's going to happen, but you're always still like shocked. And you're like, I can't believe this happened and that happened. And you just, there's just all these like theories that you talk about, and just like whose outfits you hate and don't like. And yeah, it's fun.
That's where I'm at with Moana right now. When I'm home alone, I just throw on a Moana.
What's the song from Moana that you love?
All of them?
Do you cry?
No. But
did you cry when you saw it the first time?
I'm not the biggest crier, but Moana is fantastic.
I was going to ask, do you cry ever? Have you cried?
I have cried.
Okay.
When was the last time?
I have cried The only movie that's made me cry is Win a Date with Tad Hamilton.
Dude, I loved that movie.
Interesting.
I've never seen that
I was
movie.
going through some rough times.
Josh
Duhamel, dude.
Duhamel. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good movie.
I cried.
I just feel like Moana's very soul cleansing. Like I
It's so good.
thoroughly cried when I watched it.
It's
I
so
bet
good.
I would. I feel like
You've
I
never
would.
seen it.
I've never seen it.
And you've never seen Lion King, or you have now.
I have seen The Lion King. I hadn't seen The Lion King, but I finally saw it like a year ago.
Can we
or
watch
6 months
Moana
ago.
together?
We can. We could do that as a separate
I-
pod.
Well, I feel like
Oh my God, y'all can be Disney dudes.
I feel like once
dudes,
Broanas.
Broanas.
Yeah.
once we're done with this, we're like we either will be happy to never see each other again and retire the podcast, or we are making just like a list of like what we can do after Sex and the City's done. And I feel like
Disney Dudes is really
Disney
strong.
Dudes.
Disney dudes.
Right.
And then
I
Sub
cast
Pod.
myself with that. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're
coming.
You're in it. It's
totally in
you're in it. Yeah, we always talk about all the sub pods.
So wait,
We've
what
got Steve talk?
Steve talk? Well, what was Fashion Week last week or 2 weeks ago?
Fashion Week. Yeah, when was it?
It was I forget what day it started, but it ended on February 13th.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's Fashion Week like now? Because you go to some of the shows and go to some of the parties. You
And
said
it-
you were at the.
It used to be at Bryant Park, and then they moved it downtown.
Yes, it was at Bryant Park, and I know they did a few things. Like the episode I was talking about, the first one was there, and then in the movie they show them being at Bryant Park. But then it was at Lincoln Center. So I came in 2009, and they had just stopped doing it at Bryant Park. 2010. Sorry. So I was here in 2010 when I first came to New York City, and they started doing it at Lincoln Center. So then OrangeJuiceAndBiscuits.com was official press at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, which is what it was in there.
That's great.
For 10 seasons. So I went to
Wow.
all the shows, and it was so much different then because I mean, I hear like the ultimate like amazingness was Bryant Park. Like everyone always talks about those were the glory days. But for me at Lincoln Center, like when you were first there, you could just chill in the tents all day. So I had a friend of mine, he came and had a video camera and I had a mic, and I was literally just waiting for celebrities to like ambush them and do interviews. And I knew like the press person at the time, so they would like call on a mic and be like, someone's doing interviews, and they were like, it's Orange Juice and Biscuits, and he's like, oh, tell him I said hi. But now and then when they ended, like towards the later years at Lincoln Center, they would like shoo people away. Like if you could only have a ticket for the upcoming show to be in there. So it changed a lot, and it was all in one central hub. So now it's spread out all over the city, and it's just hard to get to, and logistically it's crazy. And the person who created the Modern Fashion Week, Fern Malice, actually has an interview recently where she talks about just the logistics are crazy, and it's just a lot harder for everyone in general because there's no central hub right now.
Is it? Do you feel like it's something that it's like they're in a lull and it's gonna have a renaissance, or do you feel like Fashion Week is just a thing that may fade in a way?
It's interesting because just retail in general, which is obviously Fashion Week, I feel like people forget that it's just like, it's like basically it's an industry event. And I think a lot of people forget that because it's become, with the influencers and everyone. And it really used to be for like the big fashion press and buyers, right? And people who worked in fashion. But it's become so crazy that, and then with the retail space, like the designers are starting to pull back because they're so expensive and they're doing like more private things. So it's interesting to see where it's coming from. They started like a men's fashion week, but I heard that was going away. So I feel like they're kind of not knowing what's going to happen.
Also, I think when we had Mo on, or
Moana.
Moana, when we had Moana on.
We had Mo on.
Mo on. Melina Kempf, when she was talking about fashion, I think she was saying this, that now with Instagram and stuff like that, it, like you're saying, it was a show for the buyers, but people can kind of just put out their fashion all the time.
Oh, 100%.
You don't need to have a yearly showing of a collection. And also, I learned this when I went to Fashion Week last year for something I was working at. It's so expensive to do a show and to rent a space and to get models. It costs so much money, I feel like.
Yeah, it does. And with Instagram and everything, like the Vogues of the world who were still relying, because fashion honestly was way behind on technology. They were just like, whatever, we don't need to do that. Like, we're cool.
Yeah.
But of course you can't be like that. And so they were still like putting out the spring collections like later and things like that. So they were waiting for their print magazines, but all the bloggers had already covered it on their site. So they were kind of getting frustrated with that. So there's all these things that really changed it, and really technology.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder whenever there's something that it's like, so like my guess is, not knowing it, but just like anything, it's got to be like a lull where it's like, oh shit, like what's going to happen. And then, but somehow like, I feel like it's got to be more of a shake-up time. And then, but because it's such a big thing, like New York Fashion Week, that I feel like if the right person came in, they could figure out a way to harness it.
I don't know. I kind of wonder if it's less about how big New York Fashion Week is and more about the fashion industries. Because the thing is, like, fashion industries will not go away. That'll keep going somehow. Some of them may go away, but it could be that those things, because it's, I don't know. I don't know enough about Tribeca Film
Kevin,
Festival.
are you saying that we need to get Ja Rule and take Fashion Week down to the Bahamas? Charge a lot of money for it? 'Cause if you are, I'm in.
Oh my gosh, I watched that documentary too.
I'm totally in, and I will suck your dick if we can get some Evian water. It's so funny watching
to pour over you while you do it, or why do you need the Evian water?
just for fun.
Okay.
Just to stay hydrated.
Yeah. Tastes like soap, by the way.
Yeah.
Evian water.
I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. It's just like whenever the death of something is predicted, or like, oh, it either happens or sometimes it explodes in some new way.
Yeah.
And you can never predict how we're at this point. And you also could never predict. Like, I was watching a movie about radio, and I was like, it's so funny that, like,
was it the movie Radio starring
the movie Radio with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, I know that movie.
But it was all about, like, basically they were explaining how through radio, like, all these comedians got their start because it, like, you didn't see their face. And then I was like, oh, they made this movie in the 80s explaining how radio was the perfect place for comedy. And at that time, they were probably like, radio's done. And now, essentially, podcasts and radio have become the huge...
It's a reinvention.
It's a reinvention.
the
And so
Renaissance.
I wonder, and you can't predict those things. So
It's
I don't
kind
know,
of
I
like,
worry about New York Fashion Week is what I'm saying. Is it going to be
But
okay?
It'll find a new outlet.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, they
it'll
just
be
seem to-
fine.
I mean, the thing with Lincoln Center is that they had it in the park next to Lincoln Center, and people were so used to being able to like go in there. I think there were like members that like paid for it or whatever, but you can't really buy your way into New York Fashion Week. Like, you can't buy tickets. So those people were getting frustrated, and eventually they're like, well, if we can't go, like, we're gonna then buy. And they were like, all right, bye. So that's kind of like what happened.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a thing to relate it to too is like Tutu. Speaking of fashion,
Desmond
Tutu, is like the New York Fringe Festival. That was like a huge theater festival in the early 2000s and maybe the 90s. And then it sounds a little bit like, because like you did the Edinburgh Festival for your comedy show, and I went and visited you there, and it's like the entire city is like on fire with like crazy shows. But now that Fashion Week and also New York Fringe is so decentralized, I feel like I went to one New York Fringe Festival show years ago, and it was middle of the day at some random space, and it didn't feel connected to anything else.
Yeah.
It just felt like my friend was like, hey, I'm doing a play at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. But
I know.
it didn't feel like, and I feel like the Fringe Festival doesn't really matter as much in New York.
They didn't do it last year. They didn't even have it.
Fashion Week, death knell.
I also wonder if it's like with
It won't
things
die
are
yet.
so
It won't.
expensive though, like spaces are. If spaces are so expensive, it's like you end up having to fucking
Pretty soon.
have Fashion Week in Inwood
I mean, think about
at the
the
cloisters.
that would be great.
They had a Brooklyn Fashion Week once that I went to like in 2011, and it was the craziest thing.
What, crazy in a good way or crazy in a bad way?
It was just like everyone thinks that they want to do a fashion week, and it's like if you're not going to the main one, it's just I don't know. I don't find the knockoffs
That makes
very
sense.
great.
I mean, I think a thing about Fashion Week is that Payless Shoes is it announced today they're closing Payless Shoes.
Really?
Yeah,
I heard
21
Now you
about
have to
that.
pay more
Right.
for shoes.
Yeah, well, you're gonna
Apparently, people didn't want to pay
you're gonna have
less.
to yeah, people didn't want to pay less. They want
All
to
right.
pay more.
Season 3.
Yeah, what episode are we doing?
10, All or Nothing.
Ooh.
Directed by Charles McDougall. Written by Jenny Bix. August 13th, 2000 was the day. And you know what's actually cool is there was a massive rating spike the week after that, like by 1 million people. 3.5 went up to 4.5. And I wonder if it's because the Carrie cheating thing got around the office coolers. Because that was the last thing.
The office coolers.
I'm excited
They're
to
like
see
the
what happens.
coolers
I'm
that they
nervous.
have in the office.
Yeah, the office water. I've never been in an
small
office.
refrigerators.
The fucking okay. Carrie feels
Sorry.
guilty
That
and
was
wants to quit her affair with Big. Oh wait, do we not read this?
We have Katie reading
have
this.
Katie.
Okay.
read
Well, we
this.
haven't recorded for a while.
Payless is closing, and Kevin's trying to take Katie's job.
All right.
That's what's happening with technology.
Do you remember this episode?
So it's the one where Charlotte is getting the prenup from Bunny, yes.
I don't know. We've never seen it.
No,
We don't know.
We're gonna watch it with you now.
Bunny is Trey's mom.
Right. She's with Trey, right? So
Yeah.
we're in the so Carrie just cheated with Big on
Yes.
Aiden.
Aiden,
Yes?
yep.
Yeah. So are y'all team Aiden or team Big?
We're kind of team Aiden.
We're kind of team Aiden.
You're team not Aiden.
Last
you were
episode, I was
very-
just tipsy and I was just causing trouble.
What's up, Pop-Tart?
I was just drunk and just.
We just
girl
love
at
the
the
size of
party.
Aiden's head.
I think it was last episode. You
know.
were you were muckraking.
Oh yeah, totally.
you were a
That's
little
what happens.
muckraker.
That's what happens.
All right, let's go watch the episode.
All right, bye.
All right.
All right.
Episode 40 All or Nothing. Carrie feels guilty and wants to quit her affair with Big. Miranda enjoys phone sex with a coworker from Chicago. Charlotte negotiates the terms of her prenuptial agreement with Trey's mother, Bunny. After celebrating her move to her new apartment in the exclusive Meatpacking District, Samantha's bout of the flu gives her a pessimistic outlook on life. And now, back to the boys.
Hey, what's up? It's John. We're back.
Hi, it's Cory. We're back.
It's Kevin. I'm back.
Oh gosh.
And guess who's back?
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Carrie has put us all in a real bad mood.
We're acting like a bunch of pissers. I am not a Carrie fan.
No.
I'll tell you what.
No.
You know what hasn't aged well?
Carrie.
Carrie.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well,
you know what also hasn't aged well? Pete the dog, because he was already 41 in dog years. He's got to be dead by now. He's got to be dead.
I thought a car was about to smack that
Dude,
dog.
I thought
That stressed me
Pete
out.
was going to get hit, and I was really scared about that. You never really see a lot of dogs running loose in Manhattan because they're on leashes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, everybody has been saying, like, get ready, the fashion's about to go through the roof. And I've got to say, the bamboo buttons on Mr. Big with that Tommy Bahama.
Are you
it's
talking
a
Tommy
sandal.
Big Hama?
Tommy Big Hama. Okay.
Sandals.
We're going to get there. I think we need someone to bring us in with a little recap.
All right,
right.
John, bring
Johnny,
in the recap.
bring it in with a fast recap.
All right, all or nothing. The question is, can you have, living in New York, can you have it all? Samantha gets a new apartment. She gets sick. She turns into Charlotte, which I thought was really funny. She gets so sick, she turns into like a blubbering mess, saying how badly she wants a man to take care of her. Miranda hooks up with lawyer George from Chicago, and they end up having some phone sex. He's having phone sex with multiple people, so they nip that in the butt. Charlotte,
Bud.
They nipple it in the butt.
They
They
nipple
were
it.
having phone sex.
Yeah.
that's what I was going for.
I was with you.
They Charlotte has gets confronted with a prenuptial agreement from Bunny, and she confronts Bunny and gets negotiates her prenup agreement. And lastly, Aiden, Carrie, and Big, the love triangle deepens.
It's become what kind of triangle is it now? An isosceles? Is it equilateral? It's not equilateral.
It's not an equilateral.
Not
I would
at
say
all.
it's an
I
isosceles.
think it's an isosceles triangle at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
She she just goes full blown cheater mode. She says she's not going to do it anymore, and then she dives right back in. Big has been pretty aggressive though in pursuing it.
Big
so.
is like in straight up stalker mode.
Tommy Big Hama is
Tommy
not.
Big Hama. Wow. Yeah. And one thing I want to touch on, because Jonathan and I noticed this, is Carrie, at some point, she is talking about how everything's great, and then she keeps having flashbacks to the when she first cheated with Big.
Yeah,
And
very sweaty night.
very sweaty. It felt like a Sex Lies and Videotape Steven Soderbergh sex scene they keep replaying. But at some point when Carrie's
Emmanuel.
they had a showing of an Emmanuel movie at the Quad Cinema in Manhattan during their erotic series.
I know.
Were you there?
I got arrested for masturbating in the theater.
You pulled a Paul Rubens?
Yeah.
Great.
No.
And so many.
But the thing that Jonathan and I were surprised about, I'm speaking for you, but I think you'll get, is that Carrie quotes an E.B. White quote about New York.
Oh yeah. What was the quote again?
The quote was, anyone who is going to live in New York must be willing to be very lucky. It's from the book Here's New York.
Oh.
And I think that she's talking about how she loves living in New York, but she needs to consider, there's something about her having to feel lucky, probably because she's cheating on her boyfriend with a married man.
I thought it was from Charlotte's Web, to be honest.
Anyone that's going to live in New York needs to be a pig that talks. So there's a friend that spells out things in a web.
I always thought Charlotte was such a Samantha.
Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, Charlotte and her web, not Charlotte York.
Oh man, that spider sucks so many dicks. I've got my eyes on you, all 8 of them.
Oh man.
Well, I thought first of all, this episode comes out with a strong anti-bald bias from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were pretty salty about that.
You were. What happened?
Well, I mean, as a bald man, I don't like being discriminated against.
But that's why you've turned it into comedy in your life.
Well, no, it's there's actually a really funny Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where they spray paint bald asshole on his garage door, and then he calls the police, and a black police officer comes there, and then Larry David's trying to be like, it's a hate crime, you should understand, right? He's calling people, and but no, it's really funny. They're talking about that, and then but what I noticed is what's his name?
They're talking about men's biggest fears.
Men's biggest fears,
Yeah.
and she said it's.
Women talking about guys at like
Because
lady
she's
night.
going away for a girls' weekend,
Yeah.
and he's like, "You don't talk about the guys."
Yeah,
and she's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Sometimes," and she's like, "Man's biggest fear."
Yeah, and then they say balding, but it's sort of funny
He
because
says man's biggest fear, and then she says, "I thought it was balding." And he's like,
Yeah.
"No problem here."
No,
I know,
and
but then you look at his hair, and he's definitely. I wonder where he's at now. He probably has hair transplants, but he had some thinning going on. He was getting a little cocky.
His widow's peak was waning.
It was a little bit wispy.
Yeah, it was
More
more
of a wispy peak.
But he's got some. He's
got plenty of hair.
some good hair.
But I feel like
John Corbett.
Jon Corbett. But yeah, Aiden. But then we came back to sympathizing for Aiden, even though the anti-bald bias he had started up because man, Carrie is.
I've always been a team Aiden, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there's people that flip around from things, but I know what you're saying. I'm at the point now where I'm like, listen, he just seems like he's kind of walking around in the dark. He's not doing anything wrong. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy, and they always talk about like how good guys are hard to find, and I don't know. I always found it interesting that all these girls are always like, I want to be Carrie, and I want to move to the city and be Carrie, but she's the worst, to be honest. Like,
Yeah. There's
Well, I mean, she's not even annoying anymore. Like some people think she's like annoying or something, but this is straight up not cool.
yeah,
Especially the way they did it. That it's like I'm gonna take care of him, and then just right back there again. And then also like flirting with him about it. Not even like this happened, get out. She's like fucking playing with his nipples and shit.
who big?
Yeah, like in bed, they're just like, oh,
I know.
mate.
Did they sleep together?
Them on my sheets.
Did they sleep together 2 more times in this episode, or just that once?
One.
I think it was just
There's
once.
the flashbacks, and then they do it again.
But it was implied that it happened more
multiple
maybe?
times.
I'm not sure.
yeah, and she
That's-
like slept in the sex sheets.
Yeah, she
Has-
slept in it for
Has
2 more days.
slept with him since she told Aiden she loves him? I don't think so.
No.
he showed up in his Tommy Big.
And so
Mama
that
shirt.
was that was Samantha's kind of bar that it's not cheating until you say
yeah.
you love each other. Then so she
Which I
hasn't cheated in Samantha's eyes.
I can get down with that. I can get down with like Samantha. I like that Samantha has rules because you would like. I think if you were going to give a base level thing, you'd be like, "Man, nothing matters her." I think Samantha's a woman of principle, and they're her own principles.
Yeah.
she's a woman of certain principles.
I love that she's in her meatpacking apartment, like back when the meatpacking was like crazy, and it was
Yeah.
all, like
Yeah.
sex clubs and like meat racks. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a sex club called the Meat Rack that she lives beside. Yeah, totally.
And yeah, I love that whole journey where she like first moves into the meatpacking district. But I always talk with my friends about if you can have it all based on this episode.
Yeah.
And I love when she like
question.
opens the window and she's like, "You hear that, Manhattan? We have it all."
Fuck you.
And then someone just goes,
"Fuck you."
Yeah, she's like, "You
yeah.
wish."
Well, where do you and your friends land on that? Do you think you can live in New York and have it all?
I see here. This is where my Charlotte comes out because I'm always like, yes, you can have it all, and like, why not? And like, I should be able to do this. But one of my best friends is like, you can't, like, you'll never find love in New York. And I'm like, oh well, my friends did, and they're like, oh well, like so and so doesn't live here, and like she doesn't believe that you can have it all in New York. And I just feel like I have to believe that and lie to myself.
Well, quick question then, and we can all go around the horn and do it. What is having it all in New York?
Ooh.
And we'll do it this way. we'll do what is having it all in the way like this is what I think having it all, and then let's go big. Let's be like really having it all from a monetary standpoint.
Let's go big.
The reason
Owning Tommy Bahama.
The reason
owning the company Tommy Bahama. That's
being Tommy Big Hama. The reason I ask is because oftentimes when people are looking for apartments in New York, the first thing I tell them is you can't have everything.
It's 2 or 3. It's
Like,
location, space, and price.
Yeah,
choose
and,
2.
and you get 2 of those.
Yeah.
Like you cannot, even if you have all the money, you cannot get all 3. You cannot get location, price, and
I
space.
feel like I'm doing okay right now, but it's gonna be, but I'm gonna pay a little more than I want. So maybe that's
a lot of people get 0 out of 3, and they're like, oh, "Thank God I'm not on the subway."
I think that in the words of Carrie Bradshaw, and I don't know if she said this yet in y'all's journey of Sex and the City, but she's like, they say in New York, you're either looking for an apartment, a relationship, or a job. And I feel like in the sense of this, it's like that's having it all if you have all 3. And a lot of times, like they say, like if you're successful at work, then like your personal life's crap or vice versa. And I feel like it's really hard to obtain all of those things in New York City.
That's true.
Yeah,
I would
I mean-
agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of at a good place, all 4 of them, story-wise, of like, well, Samantha, it was kind of nice that she was like, had some sort of struggle rather than just like, oh, a new guy doing it. Like her part was fun, but it was kind of like the pro and like each one has like a little tension happening. Like you see Charlotte walking into disaster. You see Carrie walking into disaster, and then
It made me sad though that when Miranda said, and then there's 3, like they're insinuating that they've lost Charlotte as a
Yeah.
friend. Like
yeah,
maybe that's part of like
That's-
not having it all. Is like even if you get everything you want, you lose a friend to it.
Well,
yeah, because Carrie said, and then we didn't have it all. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as she gets like, she's like, I'm getting married. She's like, and now we don't have it all. Like
And then I think-
Charlotte's gone.
Yeah, and I think even Miranda said like this feels really weird to say, but it's weird that she's not here. Like you would think, and you realize they're like a set of 4 that they're not complete anymore.
I always thought, I remember there was a few months when like I remember that me and like one of my friends had just gotten married, but he had this job where he had a bunch of time, and we like would hang out at this one bar like all the time. And then those times where you're all like talking about things you want to do and all this stuff, and then you start doing the things you want to do, and then you're like, oh shit, that was so much fun. Like that's like for me, like that's a perpetual state to be in New York, because it's always changing so much. And I think that's true for life, but maybe on an accelerated thing that you're like, the second you're always perpetually nostalgic, even for like a year ago or something.
I always say I always say this. No, I think that like when if you stay in New York for a long enough period of time, the first year or so kind of feels like your freshman year of college or high school, when you meet all these people and you're like, oh, I'm going to all these places, and you're like, this is great. And then maybe a year later you're like, I never see those people anymore. Or like I met real connections after that or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's true. What you were saying is that, like literally like last week was fashion week for me, but like I feel like that was like a month ago. Like it just, things happen so fast, especially if you're busy, and people go in and out of your lives in New York like so quickly, or like you know, kind of like the Charlotte thing, like they'd been friends since they like moved there. So like now she's moving on. And one of the reasons I moved to New York was because everyone in Texas was like getting married so young.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're like, are you going to move to Austin? I'm like, no, I gotta go. Like I gotta have this adventure. So then when you meet those people in New York and they do move on, it does feel like, oh, a loss.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. I think there's a town in Harlan, our friends, this bar that he was telling me about when I visited his town, this town in Ohio, small town, and it's the same. I was like, let's go by there, because he told me some stories about it, and he's like, no, it's like super divey, and it's the same family that has owned it for like 45 years. And then we were at this other bar, and we're like, what's that bar like? They're like, it's still like this, and it's the exact same like way that it was like 25 years ago. And I was like, man, like you're always grasping onto that here, like a level of stasis. And but then there are places like in smaller towns where it's like, that's the other end of the spectrum. It's just like always the same, and people are like, "Oh, never changes."
That's like
how it is.
That's how before I moved to New York, I lived in North Carolina, where I'm from, and it was the same thing where a lot of my friends were getting married in their early to mid 20s, and I was like, you know, I'm looking for something else. But I remember I was sitting in this dive bar called the Penguin in Charlotte, which was like a really, really cool dive bar. And they had this cool like rockabilly scene. And a friend of mine who had lived in San Francisco, she was like, there's this scene here, but if you move to New York, she's like, there's 5,000 of these scenes going on every single night. And so like there's maybe 2 of these scenes in Charlotte, but there's all of
5,000 rockabilly scenes.
5,000 rockabilly, and I hit every one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I had a pompadour. I had that black leather vest that John's wearing right now that the listeners can't see. I was so into rockabilly.
I was hanging out with Brian Seltzer the entire time.
Dude, there's a funny video we'll tweet out that is a guy on Twitter like a couple years ago where he has rules for being a modern greaser. And there's this whole thing where he talks about, he's smoking one of those blue cigarettes that like lights up, and he's talking about like things you need to stay safe in the street. And he talks about having a switchblade and brass knuckles, but he's like, it's like 2013. And he's like, listen, man, being a greaser today is different than it was back then.
Well, like those actual greasers back in the day would fuck you up.
Yeah, because there was a reason to be a greaser back then, but now you don't really.
I mean, I feel like brass knuckles will still get you what they got you back then.
They will, but do you need to be a greaser?
But if you put on your brass knuckles and start swinging, there's going to be a ton of videos of you uploaded on the internet, and you're going to look like a douchebag. Yeah,
I think
you put on your brass knuckles, you start swinging, then you start singing, oh, grease lightning, I'll punch you in your fucking face.
Or like
Grease
West Side Story. They have like those brass knuckle like iPhone holders.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not my show, but like, I just want to know, do you think you can have it all? Yes or no? Like one by one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need to define what
In
having
New
it
York
all
City.
is, or we want to go with what the definition you were saying? Job, relationship, and what is it? Job, relationship, and apartment?
Apartment, relationship, and job in New York City, like having it all.
I think that part of life, part of having it all, is getting rid of some of your expectations. So it's not getting everything you thought. It's like growing up and shedding some of the expectations so that you're not like imprisoned by what you thought life would be like, and then you give up on like good things that are kind of in front of you. You know what I mean?
That's very zen.
Totally.
That's really zen.
I do
attachments.
Yeah, I do think you can have it all, but like Kevin said, I think there's some expectation management, because I think like I really like my apartment, but I bet like the three of you may be like, that's not really the greatest apartment, but
I've been there. It's terrible. I'm just kidding.
It's not that.
No,
but it's not. It's like it's not in like a super ideal location, but I pay like barely anything in rent, and it's big enough for my wife and I. So it's like, for me, I have it all, but for other people, they might see that and be like, oh, why is it not by like a park or something like that? So,
but yeah,
I do think having it all, I think there's people that have a relationship. They live on the Upper East Side, and they live in an insanely great apartment with a high powered job that are the most miserable people in the world.
Yeah,
and so those people on paper have it all, but I don't think they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
But you yourself would open up the window with a bottle of Dom and yell at New York that you have it all currently.
Well, that's not really my way of celebrating.
what would be your way?
Your way of celebrating is seeing people that do that and then say, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. No, but like, I think even when I was waiting tables, sleeping on my friend's couch, like at that point in my life, I was like, I had it all. I had great friends. I had a place to stay. I was making a couple bucks waiting tables. Like, for me, that was still an awesome life.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't think there's been a time that I've lived in New York when I haven't had it all, I suppose. Like, it's like, if I wasn't having it all in New York, I would move somewhere where it's easier to live.
I think it's an expectations thing, like you guys are saying. I do think even if those expectations are removed, I think you can have relationship, job, apartment. And I think that you're right. You could get those, have the really nice apartment, which is like a big gold standard thing in New York. Be like, oh shoot, they live here and they have this kind of thing. But I think you could have that and not be happy.
Yeah.
And I also think you can have it all with, I mean, I think in some ways, like, I think even just like us doing this podcast or having friends, like, I kind of think we have it all. Yeah. The other night, Kevin and I were we were at this dive bar I was telling you about earlier, and this girl kept coming up to us and she was like, are you guys together? Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh, no, we're just friends. And she was like, but are you guys like in a relationship? And we were like, no, we're friends. We hang out here a bunch. We know the staff. And she was like, I just don't see guys out like talking to each other. Like that, which I think is more her problem.
Right.
But there was a thing where I was like, it does make me think that like New York is a place where it's like you're lucky to have a couple really good friends.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that is more of the story of Friends and Rent.
Yeah.
Sex and the City's a little different. Sex and the City's kind of the same, I guess.
And you think you have it all currently?
Yes and no. I think yes in the way that like, yes, listen guys, it's been a rough year. Got evicted from an apartment, had a bike wreck and had to have surgery on 2 broken bones in a new apartment. So, but you know what?
But you're making yogurt.
But I'm making yogurt. I bought an Instant Pot this week and I made a gallon of yogurt. And I gave some to my neighbor. I got great neighbors. His wife
that is something that you would open up the window and scream out.
I would scream out and hold out the Greek yogurt and be like, I got it all. And someone would go, that's thick, because it's Greek yogurt.
And your neighbor would go, thank you.
Thank you. Right. So I think in some ways, it's a bit of a rough patch. In other ways, yes, because I got friends.
One of the first jokes that I did when I started doing stand up that like got a laugh and that worked is I would say like when people visit New York, they're like, greatest city in the world. And after you live here for a while, you still think that, but instead you yell things like, if there are people everywhere, why am I so lonely? And I think there's like, it's still the best place to live, but it's like, but yeah, I mean, I feel like having a few good friends and having like, I like having like a good bar that people like congregate around, or a restaurant, or like things throughout the week. I don't know. When I imagine what my life would be in another place, I'm like, I'm very satisfied. I'm very happy with where I'm at. And if anything, I worry, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get everything that I think I want and then just spend all my time being like, oh, like be present. Like it was awesome a few years ago when you were like, had all the things you want, like time and your friends and like the things you were working on.
Yeah. There's a thing like,
I'm just afraid that things are going to go too well.
What about you, Jonathan?
Well, do you think you have it all currently?
I think close.
Cool.
Closer than usual.
Yeah. I think what you guys are saying, it definitely is like managing expectations, or like not managing expectations, but like being happy with what you have currently. And like you said, it's like, no one can see where I'm pointing, by the way, so I apologize. But,
no one can see this badass leather vest I'm wearing.
We got to put a picture of John in that leather vest. Anyway, Jonathan, go ahead.
It's like just like being happy where you currently are. And yeah, I think that right now I'm very happy with where I'm at currently, but I don't feel like I have everything that I want as far as like relationship and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, I'd still scream out the window like Samantha.
Well, but that's an interesting thing about the history of New York in general. And it was chronicled in the book by E.B. White, Charlotte's Web. But no, the history, like New York was the financial capital of the country. That's what's the Ken Burns documentary just called New York? So remember the thing I said about having good friends earlier?
Right.
Kevin's not one of them because he made that snoring noise. But no, I think like New York is a place for strivers. And so like you're like, oh, I'm happy with this, but I want a little more. That's why people come here.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Strivers Row. It's a place in Harlem.
Let's
Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that, Mr. Tour Guide?
No.
Let's shift the conversation over
Guess who's
to
the tour guide now?
prenuptial agreements.
Oh, yes.
I want to hear everyone's thoughts.
Has anyone
on
here
a
ever
prenup.
signed one? Has anyone in this room signed one?
I mean, no, I've never been engaged.
Well, me neither. And I've never signed, but I've signed 4. I've just signed other people's.
Would you guys be offended if someone asked you to sign one?
It depends on who the person was. If I was marrying, well, yeah, I think I would be.
They went about it the wrong way. There's a way to go about it. If you're Justin Bieber and Ashley Baldwin getting married, you're an idiot if you don't take that into account, the fact that like there's massive amounts of money and stuff on the line, but there's a way to go about it that I think retains that it's not just like here's this, and inside it is like this document that you don't discuss. I feel like that goes back to their issues in their relationship where they're not really communicating.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the way that Trey did it with Charlotte was insulting. It was $500,000 and it was like vested by like 30 years.
Yeah,
and
it was like an IRA basically.
Yeah, and then she had to go to Bunny, which I love. Are y'all into Bunny? I'm obsessed with Bunny.
I'm getting
like
into
Bunny.
Bunny now. We got a tweet, I think it's from Luella Chavez on our Twitter, but Bunny is also in the show Cheers. She plays Cliff Clavin's mom.
Oh, really?
She's been in a million things. But yeah, Bunny's pretty great.
I don't know. I don't think y'all have gotten to this yet, but my favorite Bunny line is when she's like, "Don't you hustle me out, young lady. This is Chanel." Like, I feel like that's like, I want that that's like my life
Bunny.
mantra.
We need to start maybe a Bunny podcast while Steve is gone in Steve's absence.
Oh,
Like a
that's
Bunny
true.
minute. Yeah.
The Bunny Minute, the Bunny
Bunny Hop.
Bunny Bunch.
Oh, the Bunny Hop.
The Bunny Hop.
That's so
I think it's the Bunny
cute.
Hop.
Yeah, the
Hey,
Bunny
wait,
Hop.
you mentioned the Chanel thing. This is just a jump for that. Let's talk about some fashion.
All
Let's
right.
because I feel like as someone who was official press for New York Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fashion in this episode. So okay.
What is fashion?
First of all, it's pronounced fashion.
Fishing.
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 Fashion.
Did anything
Fashion.
stand out besides?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie's dress looked like she got her head bitten off by a shark.
Yeah. I
So
think
that was that one with the like red
It was
triangles.
like the blue. It
I
was like the
hate it.
blue with the red blood triangles.
First of all, I don't know if you're aware that the costume designer for the show is Patricia Fields,
Patricia
Yep.
Field.
who
Yes.
I've met a million times.
Really?
Yeah?
She's amazing. And one of my friend, Laura, prettyconnected.com is like her best friend.
That's awesome.
And just like what I think overall, she's done an amazing job. But it's always fun to talk about the hits and misses. And like, real quick, my favorite Patricia Field story is when I first met her in 2010. It was at the end of the year, and it was at her house actually. And I met her, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm obsessed with you, blah blah blah. And I gave her my first Orange Juice and Biscuits business card, and she throws it in her bra, and I was like dead. I was
Amazing.
She's like smoking a cigarette, being all cool. So anyway, for this episode, I think the best outfit was when she was walking P in the white and the shorts and
Yes.
her like athleisure before athleisure and like the red heels that she was like
Oh, yeah.
hauling ass in. And then I think the worst outfit was probably the overalls.
Really?
Like, I
the
wasn't
giant colored overalls with the red bra?
right. I was like, what is that? But then also the hair when they go to like Charlotte's like Upper East Side thing. I was like, the lopsided Princess Leia thing was like, no.
The big
Well,
cinnamon
also
rolls on her head.
with that was basically just Samantha just looked like Marilyn Monroe. Like I thought they
Oh,
were.
right, yeah.
It was like pretty much exactly.
When she was in that red pantsuit thing? Or-
No, she had on a red. It was a red dress, but
Yeah,
it was
her
like
hair
very
was-
much like
Oh,
the
that's
7-year itch, classic picture. Only, yeah. It would just. I thought. I didn't know if they were going to like a look-alike party or something, but
Yeah, her hair was very
Yeah,
that.
Carrie's hair was, yeah.
I thought that Miranda's hair was okay in this episode. Wasn't bad.
What's your general take on Miranda's hair in general?
Oh, just like it gets better, I think. I think they like all get better. Carrie's hair goes crazy sometimes too. Like Carrie's not always the best with hair. Like it was okay sometimes in this one. But yeah, Miranda just like, I mean, I don't think Miranda's hair has ever looked better than it did in the first movie. Like she looked amazing in the first movie.
We got to get there.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because Charlotte's so classic that she kind of just like runs at like a mid. Like she never has any huge misses because she's never
Right.
really
Yeah, she's
steps
super
out.
vanilla.
She's like,
I'm
yeah,
obsessed with her. That's why I was like, I originally, when I was in Texas, I'm like, I'm Charlotte York.
yeah.
And then I got here and I was like, maybe I'm Carrie. No, oh, wait, I'm actually Samantha. Like, that happened. When you grow up thinking you're Carrie, but then you realize you're Samantha Jones.
You're like, oh shit.
Sam Jones.
I
Was
gotta-
it like one of those flashbacks that Carrie had where you were like, uh-oh, I'm Samantha, and you saw yourself
No.
like sweating with someone?
You know, it's just like I've done public relations, like I do public relations too, and it's just finding yourself being like on the first episode where they introduce themselves like Samantha Jones, public relations executive, unmarried woman, and
Right.
just being like, hi, like Sam Jones, public relations. Like, that's very that.
Fashion journalist, blogger, former Texan.
Right,
Jonathan
exactly.
Valdez.
Like, but then I have like the writing with Carrie, and then, but I still just want like, I want to like meet my Trey McDougal / you know, I mean, I feel like I don't want to go into too much of all of her relationship, but I just want like a classic 6 on the Upper East Side, and I want to be like, a Charlotte deep down inside, I feel.
Okay.
Maybe.
Question though, because I heard someone else say this in another show I was watching. What does a 6 on the upper classic 6 mean? Is that like a 6-figure? Is that's an apartment?
It's
right?
like a 6-bedroom townhome.
That's what it is. That was in some other show that I saw last week where they were like, not everyone's ex-fiance leaves them a classic 6.
Right.
Forgot what that was
Yeah.
in. Okay, cool.
I want to get a classic 6 on the Upper East Side, but that's just like not a 10, just like a 6. I'll just take like
an average.
just like slightly above average looking,
Like a woman,
lady that has
a woman who's got 2 kids.
and that's gonna fund my life, and we live on the Upper East Side
Yeah,
together.
it's cool.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
It'd be great.
yeah, I think
You're like, hey,
She's
honey,
a
should I
divorce-
shave my
she's a-
mustache? She's like, I don't really care, Kevin.
Kevin, I don't care. Are you going out with your friends to that dumb karaoke bar again tonight?
I'm like, yeah, I
your friend
will.
that you talk to and everyone thinks you guys are dating because you guys just talk to each other the whole night. Okay, wait. We are getting to where we're short on time, but a lot went on this episode. Let's just real quick do a Carrie Big takedown minute.
Okay.
The Carrie Big Takedown Minute,
Carrie.
live from Seltzer King Studios.
All right, so we're here. I mean, big. Okay, that's it. No, I have written on my notepad, Big sucks. I think Big is kind of stalkery.
Dude,
But Carrie sucks too.
when he answered the call in the car,
That was classic Big acting.
it was just like
freaking loved it.
so.
it's like, remember
doofy.
my dick?
Oh, hey, baby.
Yeah, his
but it was
stupid
great, right?
smile and shit.
I don't know. I think him calling her, knowing that she's got a dude there,
Yeah.
and not a dude, a boyfriend.
And he was
A
like,
boyf.
either you come down or I'm going up there. And it's
Exactly.
like, whoa, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's stalker.
Also,
No chill.
anytime
No chill.
anytime people are cheating, I'm like, that just brings so much freaking stress into your life. Like, have you seen any murder show? Like, it's not going to be the thing. You're going to get caught, and you can do everything that you want to try and hide it. And then like something weird is going to happen. Like even that ending where he's just like, then every conversation you have, she's like, oh shit.
Is he talking about? Yeah.
And then it's
so
like,
stressful.
yeah, it's just too stressful. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like obviously it's a TV show. They're leading towards something, but I'm just like, once you do that, just like, I don't know, let the cards fall where they may. You guys aren't married.
Well, there is one more thing that we need to do. Unfortunately, he's not in the show currently, but he still does deserve a segment in the podcast.
Yep.
Well,
And
while Jeremy gets that
I
ready,
think it's
let
ready
me read.
for.
Oh, he is ready.
Look at that.
It's a favorite time. It's Steve Talk.
Miranda.
All right, welcome to Steve Talk, Jonathan. We're really excited for you to join us here. In this episode of Steve Talk, Miranda's going to be having phone sex with Chicago George. Her phone's going to ring, and unfortunately, it's going to be Steve on the other side who left his basketball shorts in her bedroom.
Oh man, Jonathan, do you want to be Miranda?
Sure.
Okay, so you're talking to George. All right, let's go.
Okay.
John, will you provide the beep?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Kevin, you're going to be George.
George. Okay.
Yeah, you're George. You're George.
Oh, I'm rubbing my balls, and I'm jerking my ding dong, and I was in 8th grade.
Sounds great. Hold on real quick. Hello.
Hey, Miranda, it's Steve. Hey, what you doing right now?
Steve, this is like not a good time right now.
Well, so I had a question because I got the dog and, well, I was going to go shoot some hoops, but I keep having to play in my jeans and they're acid washed and they're just very they're kind of gripping on me. Are you doing okay these days?
What do you want, Steve?
I need to get my basketball shorts from your apartment. Maybe sometime you want to come by the bar or something like that. You sound like you're out of breath. What's going on there?
Steve, hold on.
I'm still rubbing my balls.
Sounds great. Hold on.
I've been working on my layups and did you go away? I didn't know if you clicked over yet.
Yeah, I'm on a call. It's not a good time. I'll call you tomorrow, okay?
Click.
Hey,
I wish you were rubbing my balls.
Beep.
It's a
Patrick Ewing is the best Nick there's ever been. He's incredible.
That's amazing.
favorite time.
Oh, it's a favorite time.
It's Steve Talk.
Miranda. Oh, I'm chafed.
All right. That
I'm
was-
dangling. Okay,
Good Steve talk.
This is from Ruthiness.
Random ruthiness?
Random Ruthiness. OMG, yes, you're on the roller coaster now, perceptions from you boys on Carrie before cheating versus after. Thoughts on cheating generally. I think Michael Patrick King said he knew he was going into this season that he was going to create a whole gang of Carrie haters after this. I mean,
Carrie annoyed me. She there's things about her that annoyed me pre-cheating, and now I just don't like. Now I just am actively don't like her. I'm disgusted.
Who has done a morally worse thing on the show than her doing this? None. Right?
I mean, the guy that was filming his girlfriends.
Yeah, the guy in one of the early episodes filming women having sex without their knowledge.
That's morally worse.
That's criminal.
But the core ladies you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's
the core women. Samantha did choke out that guy and kill him after she had sex with him.
Oh yeah, and
Do you remember that?
It is criminal how disgusting Bobby Cannavale's cum tasted.
No, yeah, it's bad.
It's reprehensible.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's terrible.
I just want to know. I mean, clearly, if there are still Aiden fans out there and big fans, then clearly, she tells him, and there's still some sort of back and forth for the next 3 or 4 seasons.
Oh yeah, it's a whole situation. There's Team Aiden and Team Big, so it's buckle up for more Carrie foolishness.
Damn.
Dang.
And you said you're Team Aiden.
I am. I think overall, just seeing it, I don't know, just in my life and what I would want. And I don't know. I mean, I see the allure of Big, but I just think that she had something so good with Aiden and she just shat on it.
Should we go around the circle and just do Aiden or just a real quick A or B?
Yeah, then I've got a great Aiden fact after that.
All right. Kevin.
Aiden or Big?
Just Aiden or Big? A or B?
Kevin McLaughlin.
Kevin.
Aiden.
Cory.
Aiden.
John. Aiden. Pop-Tart.
Me.
Jonathan.
Aiden.
There
That's
you go.
4 A's right there.
Has anyone ever cheated or been cheated on? If you would like to share, I will share. I was cheated on, and that same relationship kind of cheated, but it was high school.
I love that you were okay, first of all, hard judgment, cheated on. And then me,
Kinda gray.
it's a gray
I'll
area.
paint this how I want. You cheated.
What happened though? What happened is it was I was a sophomore, she was a senior. We were in way too long. It clearly should have ended because I knew she was going to college, and then she was distant and hanging out with her senior friends. And then it got to this point where this stupid thing happened where I made out with another girl. And then because she wouldn't pick me up and hang out with me anymore.
The girl wouldn't, or
And then we were still dating. And then she went to prom with one of my friends because I couldn't go to prom because I was a sophomore. And then she was like, we're just friends. I need a date to go with. And then she banged that dude at prom. And then we still tried to work things out for another 6 months after that. But my whole memory of that is you get out before you do it, because clearly we were just young and didn't understand how to be let's not hang out anymore.
yeah.
But the only time that happened for me was when the relationship was far past what should have been its expiration date.
The only fallacy I see in your story is that you can go to prom as a sophomore because I went as a sophomore because a junior took me.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I'd started dating my then girlfriend. We got back together.
Brag.
So yeah, total brag.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. And then we went to prom, and I went and I dropped that one girl off, and then I went and hung out with my girlfriend afterward.
What?
Freaking 16
You
years old
fucking
James Dean sitting across from me.
cheated.
right
Cory
now.
Big Hama
No, I
over
didn't
there.
cheat. It was, everyone knew it was I was supposed to go with her, but then we got back together. So, and then I went to a church lock-in afterward.
Dude, that's hard.
Freaking sold acid to everybody. It was awesome. Just kidding. I didn't do that. I didn't do the acid part. Never done acid. Hey, here's some facts real quick. Aiden Shaw is the name of a gay porn star.
Ooh.
Bryce L. Wynn told us that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Didn't
Wow.
know that.
What else we got?
Bunny is also Carter's grandmother on ER. That's from @cat_Harv.
Oh, nice.
Bunny is a famed actress.
Mm-hmm.
Never cheated, never been cheated on.
Never cheated. Don't think I was ever cheated on. It wouldn't surprise me.
You probably
I was.
were.
I probably was.
You
I-
probably were.
I wasn't officially in a relationship, but I was dating someone and then someone else came along, and I kind of carried them as far as pretending nothing else was happening, and I was just talking to them, and then I would run off and have a big moment. So apparently I'm a hypocrite at the end.
All right, let's go around and give this episode a Cosmo rating. This is the Cosmo rating sponsored by Elix.
That's right.
Absolute Elix,
Absolute
of course.
Elix. That's right. Sponsored by them. The Copper Cups. Get yourself a copper cup and pour some Absolute
Absolute
Elix into it.
Some of the best
wonderful-
vodka you'll ever have.
Some of the best vodka I'll ever have. They got cocktail recipes on their website.
Yeah, Absolute Elix.
Absolute Elix. Thank you very much. Cosmo rating. 5.
4, 3.
Well, hold on. We got to tell Jonathan Valdez what we do.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we do a Cosmo rating 1 to 5 Cosmos. You can use half and quarter Cosmos.
Okay.
You can, since you've seen the whole series, you could put the series into it. You could be like, I'm going to rate this for the series and the movies. We can only rate up to what we've seen.
Right.
And we say it at the same time, and then we share why we said that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
5,
4,
3, 2, 1.
3.75.
I said 4. What'd you say?
I said 4.
Nice.
I said
I give it-
3.75.
I can only give it a 3.
Oof. It's okay. It's your prerogative.
I guess I didn't laugh a lot in this episode. Like there have been other episodes where I've just like couldn't stop laughing, and the show is really funny. I guess maybe it's getting to some like more real stuff, but Miranda's storyline was like, as soon as it started, we all saw how it was going to end. Samantha's storyline like wasn't super interesting. I liked that Charlotte's getting some play with Bunny, but and then like the Carrie Big Aiden thing, it's interesting. It's fun to watch, but it's like doesn't have the same Sex and the City charm, I guess. I don't know.
Because it's like, it's dark. Like, it's not as fun.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. Like, what is happening?
Right. And which I guess is like more real and accurate, but
Oh yeah.
it just didn't really feel like as enjoyable as some of the other episodes. So I gave it a 3.
Wow.
I gave it a 3.75. I think I screwed up. I think I should have given it a 4. And the reason I said I screwed up,
Every single time you do that, you're like, every single time you're like, say yours, and then you're like, oh shit, I think I messed it up.
no, I think recently I've been pretty strong on mine, and this is the first one. The reason that I think I messed up is when you said you didn't laugh a lot. I realized I didn't laugh as much, but I like audibly gasped and felt uncomfortable a lot.
Did you clutch your pearls?
I clutched the hell out of my pearls, the earrings and the necklace.
Right.
Yeah, because the Carrie and Big stuff is really uncomfortable, and I actually did laugh out loud a few times. I lulled when Samantha yelled out the window and that guy yelled back to her. I don't understand why Samantha didn't just call a handyman. She kept calling the guy she slept with. Why didn't she just call a freaking handyman?
Because she wants a relationship.
She can have sex with the handyman.
I think it taught her that, like she said, she's like, you can get a guy to fuck you, but you can't get a guy to come over and hang up your curtains.
Exactly.
Like,
But then I'm like, if you're really sick and the light's coming in, just call a handyman. That's what you gotta do. But whatever.
And that's why I took a whole Cosmo off.
A quarter Cosmo. I took a quarter Cosmo off.
Kevin?
Also, shout out to Keels. There was a great Keels scene. Big Keels fan. Keels, please sponsor this podcast.
We just
That's
want
pretty
free
thirsty
Keels
of me,
at
but I
least.
just,
Oh my
I
gosh,
want
I'd be
some free
in
Keels
heaven.
so bad.
they do a really good gay pride party, by the way.
Really?
At Keels.
Will you invite us
yeah,
next
can
year?
we, can we go next
Nice.
time?
Of course, in June. I'll let you know.
The last time Kevin and I talked on the phone, you didn't know this, but I was wearing a Keels turmeric cranberry mask. That was Saturday.
Well, joke's on you because I did know, and I considered it phone sex.
Wow.
I was just,
That's a great phone sex move.
what are you wearing?
Keels.
Oh, turmeric.
Cranberry turmeric.
Um,
Tell me more. It's all over my face.
I
It's moist. It's tight.
I'm so exfoliated right now.
I gave this episode a 4. Maybe I overdid it, but I just feel like they're in their wheelhouse, and I feel like it was just a solid entry into the canon. And there's one word that can encapsulate how I feel about this episode. Emu.
Emu. Emu.
What's that from?
Emu.
That was him
Emu.
like seeing the crossword.
I know.
It
was just
wanted
like,
everyone else to know.
Right. Oh,
They-
you
Emu.
did say it weird.
They freaking rocked him so hard.
Emu.
He actually, Aiden is the male equivalent of a manic pixie dream girl. He is like,
true.
He's so just like, of course, it's this bird. I know birds. Also, I got furniture and a bunch of hair and nice dick and
Hey, babe, I gotta go to Pennsylvania now.
yeah. Look at my truck.
I still love you.
Oh, this I got it restored. It was my dad's. I had a good relationship with my dad, but I'm fun and I work hard too.
When I play football, I don't even need a helmet because my head's so fucking big.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why Carrie hated him.
yeah. I mean, I do think. I thought the way he said emu, it was like that was such a moment that it's like, man, you guys are making him so cute and so just like perfect. And I thought it was funny, even though I'm making fun of it. I love
He's a
Aiden. I
dog.
miss
He
him.
runs away.
He's a dog. Sometimes he runs away.
It's cool.
Hey, Pete's back. It's okay.
Oh, you were gone for 2 hours? I'm just going to question you about the smoking, nothing else.
Oh, the
were
fact
you
that you've been
smoking?
walking around in the rain for 2 hours, you're soaking wet.
Friggin' put your nips away. What are you doing?
Hey,
Come on.
Pete made it home. He had keys. It's cool.
Right.
Oh, Carrie looked smoking in that scene. All right, Jonathan.
I gave it a 4 just because for me, I feel like it's one of the episodes where people talk about as, like I said, my friend circle and forever and ever. It's like, can you have it all? And just like the whole again, Samantha being like, you hear that, Manhattan? We have it all. Like just some of those. And then just like the interaction with Bunny and the prenup. Like I feel like it's not one of the more iconic shows, but I feel like there are iconic moments involved in it. So I like it for Cosmos.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Jonathan Valdez on Instagram.
Yes, at Jonathan R. Valdez.
R. Valdez. We'll tag you.
Where
and
were you
everything.
at on Twitter?
And
I'm on Twitter, Jonathan Valdez. See, there's a story. There's a Jonathan Valdez on Instagram who has is inactive, and I can't get it. So if anyone out there knows how to do that, please help me.
if Jonathan Valdez is listening.
Orange juice and biscuits.
Yes, orangejuiceandbiscuits.com, and
Nice.
it has all my socials there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
It's
for
been so much
being
fun.
here.
Absolutely. And everybody go. I saw there's some new reviews on there and some new ratings. Thank you so much.
Oh, I was at the Apple store in San Francisco and I did about 40 iPads. So
Nice. Well,
Thank you, John, for doing
they
that.
are logged.
Oh, hey, also listen to the Not a Foodie podcast. I was on the Not a Foodie podcast and we talked about the restaurant influence that Sex and the City's had on New York City.
there you go.
Not a foodie podcast.
Not a Foodie podcast.
Rate, review, and go to our Patreon. We got some new eps on the Patreon coming
do.
at you.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye,
Email.
guys. Thank you, Jonathan.
Bye.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Jon Sieber, and Kevin James Doyle. The show is produced by Jeremy L. Balon. For more information on the guys, check out their website at bradshawboys.com, on social media at The Bradshaw Boys, and if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.